So this weekend there was a really interesting message at church, and so I'm sitting here listening to the sermon, and I'm like, this sermon is like meant for salespeople. And so he talks about the idea of it starts with a question, and kind of leads into to God and how God sometimes asks us a question for our revelation, not so that He can know anything, but so that we can become aware of what He already knows. But anyways, some of these points that he kind of goes through are like he says people don't know what you need, so you need to ask. And I'm like, my ears start perking up with all this stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like a sales sermon. Like, we think about that with our sellers. Like, they don't necessarily know what information we want, what information is even helpful. The only way they're going to know is if we actually talk to them and ask them the questions. It's all about questions. And oftentimes what keeps us from asking questions is our previous rejections, right? We just assume that the other side isn't going to want to answer, right? Like, I wish I knew this piece of information, but I'm afraid to ask it because I'm afraid of the rejection. I assume they don't want to answer the question. Or the last time that I asked this question, I got my head ripped off, or I was told no. And another point that he makes is the idea of when you hear no, think next. When you hear no, think next. But, it just goes on to talking about how much we learn as children, because children are never afraid to ask questions, right? Like, it's always a joke that a little 2-year-old, why? 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 They keep asking the same questions over and over and over again, right? But they do it unembarrassedly. I don't even know if that's a word, and they they learn so much more about the world around them because they're asking the questions. They're not afraid to ask the questions. And as salespeople, particularly, but all of us, just need to be upfront with asking the questions. When you don't know something, ask. When you need more information, ask more questions. Ask again. Now, in the sales world, we do talk about different ways to ask so that it's not defensive. We talk all the time about it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you want information, and there are specific ways that you can go about asking for the information. We talk about mirroring, we talk about labeling, we talk about all of these different things. We talk about the different voices, the late night DJ voice versus the playful voice, and how you ask those questions is as important as what you say. But the first and foremost thing is, without asking, you do not know. But I was so excited to listen through this. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like my total Monday message to the team, particularly with a strong focus on the sales team of here's what it all is. So it was pretty cool. Looking forward to getting the week started, get us kicked off on a Monday here. Thanks, guys.